AITAH for snapping at my husband that he needs to get over his ADHD quirk. The words slipped out before I could stop them. You need to just get over your ADHD quirk already. It's not that hard. The second I said it, I saw my husband's face drop. His eyes, which had been so animated a second before while trying to explain why he forgot to pay the electricity bill again, went completely blank. He didn't yell back. He didn't even argue. He just froze, like I had slapped him. The silence in that moment was louder than any fight we've ever had. And that's when he whispered, "You have no idea what you just did." That sentence landed like a punch to the chest, because in that split second, I realized I hadn't just snapped. I had crossed a line that might not be so easy to come back from. But let me back up a little. When I first met my husband, one of the things I loved most about him was how different he was from everyone else. He was spontaneous, creative, and always had a million ideas racing through his head. He made life exciting in ways I'd never experienced before. But those same traits, over time, also came with downsides. He would lose things constantly. Keys, wallet, phone, even important documents. He would get distracted in the middle of conversations, leaving me hanging halfway through a sentence. And most of all, he struggled with finishing tasks, even when he had the best intentions. At first, I thought it was just forgetfulness, but after we moved in together, the pattern became impossible to ignore. Dishes half washed, laundry left in the machine overnight, important bills that piled up because he forgot to mail them. He wasn't lazy. If anything, he worked harder than most people I knew. But it always felt like his brain was running on a track I couldn't see, and I was just trying to keep up. Eventually, he was diagnosed with ADHD. I thought that would make things easier because now we had a name for it. I figured medication, routines, and therapy would fix it. But what I didn't realize was how much more complicated life would get. Because ADHD isn't something you just solve overnight. It's not something that disappears because you want it to. The truth is, I was tired. I was tired of picking up the pieces when he forgot things. Tired of double-checking bills, locking the door after him, and making excuses to friends when we were late because he lost track of time. I was tired of always being the responsible one, while he seemed to get away with chaos because that's just how his brain works. So last week, when I came home to find that the electricity had been shut off because he forgot to pay the bill, even though I had reminded him 3 times, I lost it. I didn't mean for my voice to come out as sharp as it did, but my patience snapped like a thin rubber band stretched too far. And those words, those cruel, dismissive words about his ADHD being just a quirk, came spilling out. I didn't even believe them fully. I know it's real, I know it's a disorder, but in that moment my exhaustion spoke louder than logic. He just stood there staring at me, his hands slack at his sides, before saying that one line. "You have no idea what you just did." Then he walked away. He didn't slam the door, he didn't even shout. He just left the room quietly, which somehow hurt even more. I sat there in the dark, the weight of what I said pressing down on me, the silence stretching into hours. But when he didn't come to bed that night, and I found him sleeping on the couch the next morning, something inside me twisted, because I realized this wasn't just a fight. This might have been the beginning of something much worse. And then, as I reached for my phone that morning to text him an apology, I saw a message pop up on his screen. It was from someone I didn't recognize. And the words made my stomach drop. My fingers hovered over the phone screen. I didn't want to admit it, but my first thought wasn't even about my cruel words from the night before. It was about that message. "See? I told you she'd never understand." Who was this person? Why did they sound like they had been waiting for me to fail? And how long had they been talking to my husband behind my back about me? I wanted to click on the message thread so badly. The phone was right there, on the couch next to him, glowing faintly. He was still asleep, his body curled into itself like he was trying to hide even in his dreams. My thumb twitched. One quick swipe, and I'd know. But before I could act, he stirred, shifting his weight, and I froze. His eyes blinked open, and for a split second, I thought maybe he'd smile at me like he used to. But instead, he looked at me like someone looks at a stranger on the street. Distant, careful, unreadable. "Coffee's in the kitchen," was all he said. His voice was flat, like every ounce of warmth had been drained out of it. He didn't even mention last night, and that hurt almost more than if he had yelled. The rest of the morning went on like that. Him silent, me walking on eggshells, waiting for the blow-up that never came. My stomach was in knots. The guilt from snapping at him was already eating me alive, but now this new layer, the secret messages, was clawing at me too. By the afternoon, I couldn't take it anymore. "Who were you texting last night?" I asked, my voice as steady as I could make it. He froze, mid-step, a glass of water in his hand. He didn't turn around. "Don't start," he said quietly. "I'm not starting anything, don't start." This time his voice was sharper, more clipped. I swallowed hard. Was it someone helping you, like a support group, or... He slammed the glass down on the counter so hard I thought it would shatter. It doesn't matter who it was. What matters is that you think my ADHD is just some quirk. Do you even realize what that did to me? My throat got dry. The way he said it, the way his whole body shook with hurt, made me feel like I'd taken a knife to his chest myself. But then he added something that made my skin crawl. They're right, you know. You'll never get it. You'll never get me. They. That word again. I wanted to scream, to demand to know who they were. But before I could, he grabbed his keys and stormed out of the apartment. The door slammed so hard the frame rattled. I just stood there, my heart pounding in my ears. And that's when my phone buzzed. A new message. From an unknown number. He's finally starting to see the truth. I stared at the message like it was poison. He's finally starting to see the truth. The number wasn't saved in my phone. No name. Just a string of digits I didn't recognize. My chest tightened as a million questions collided inside me. Who were they? How did they get my number? And worse, why were they talking about my husband like they owned pieces of him I didn't even know existed? I typed back before I could think. Who is this? What truth? My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hit send. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Whoever it was, they were watching me struggle. Finally, a reply came. The truth he's been hiding from you since the beginning. My blood ran cold. I didn't know if I was supposed to be angry, terrified, or heartbroken. Maybe all 3. Before I could press further, the door opened. My husband walked back in, his face red like he'd been running. Or maybe crying. He froze when he saw me clutching my phone. Who are you texting? He demanded. His voice was sharp, almost panicked. My instinct was to throw the phone down, to lie, to pretend I was scrolling through emails. But instead, I met his eyes. Whoever's been messaging you, I said. My voice cracked on the last word. They messaged me. For a moment, his entire body went rigid, his jaw clenched, his hand tightening around the keys like he might snap them in half. What did they say? He asked. That you're hiding something from me, that you'll never let me understand. He looked away, breathing hard, the silence stretching so long it felt like it was swallowing the room whole. I could practically hear my own pulse in my ears. Finally, he whispered, I told them not to involve you. Them. Not him. Not her. Them. Plural. The wall seemed to close in around me. I felt suddenly small, like I'd been living in a house built on a secret foundation, and now it was cracking open beneath my feet. What are you talking about? I asked, my voice trembling. But instead of answering, he grabbed his phone, scrolled furiously, and then slammed it down on the table. They shouldn't have done this. This wasn't the plan. The plan? I repeated, my stomach dropping. His eyes flicked to mine, wild and cornered. You weren't supposed to find out like this. And before I could demand what he meant, my phone buzzed again. Another message from that same unknown number. This time, just 4 words. Ask him about Tuesday. Ask him about Tuesday. Those 4 words burned in my brain like fire. My phone slipped in my hand, but I held on, staring at the screen as if the answer would just crawl out of the text itself. When I finally looked up, my husband was staring at me, his face pale, lips pressed so tight they were almost white. Don't, he said. His voice was low. Dangerous, even. Don't ask. That was all I needed to hear. What happened Tuesday? I demanded, my voice shaking. He dragged his hand down his face, pacing like a trapped animal. This is exactly what I was trying to avoid. You can't know. Can't know what? My voice cracked. You owe me the truth. Who are these people? Why are they messaging me? And what the hell happened on Tuesday? He stopped pacing and stared at me. Not like my husband. Not like the man who made me laugh when life got heavy. This was someone else. Someone with shadows in his eyes I'd never seen before. Finally, he said, Tuesday was when I told them I was done. That I couldn't keep lying to you anymore. My chest tightened. Lying? About what? He didn't answer right away. He sat down, elbows on his knees, his hands buried in his hair. When he spoke, his words were so quiet I almost didn't catch them. They know things about me, things I never told you. They promised they'd help me, that they understood me in ways no one else could, but it wasn't just support, it became more. And when I told them I was going to come clean to you, that I couldn't keep hiding, they turned it back on me. My head spun. Are you saying you've been in some kind of group? A support group? He laughed, but it wasn't the kind of laugh I knew. It was bitter, hollow. You think this is just a support group, you don't get it. They don't just listen, they control, they watch, and now they're watching you. A chill raced down my spine. I wanted to call him paranoid, blame it on stress, but the messages on my phone felt like proof. Who are they? I whispered. His shoulders slumped. People I should have cut ties with a long time ago. People who knew how vulnerable I was with my ADHD, how much I hated feeling broken. They made me feel seen. But it came with strings. Strings I can't untangle without, "If he talks, you both pay the price." The message sat on the screen like a curse. My stomach turned to ice, and for a moment, all I could hear was the ticking of the clock on the wall, each second louder than the last. I turned the phone toward him. "They're threatening us," I whispered. His face twisted, half guilt, half fear. "I told you," he said. "This isn't just something I can walk away from." "But who are they? What do they want from us?" He stood, pacing again, his hands pulling at his hair. "It started small, just a group online. People who said they understood ADHD better than doctors or therapists. They made me feel like I wasn't broken, like I belonged somewhere. But then they wanted more. They wanted loyalty. They wanted favors." "Favors?" My voice cracked. "What kind of favors?" He stopped pacing. His eyes darted toward the door like he expected someone to be standing there. "Money, information, sometimes even access to people." The room tilted. I gripped the edge of the table to steady myself. "Access? To who?" His silence was louder than any scream. "Please," I begged. "Tell me what you did." "I didn't hurt anyone," he shot back, his voice raw. "But I opened doors for them. I let them into parts of our life, our home, our routines." He swallowed hard. "You." My blood ran cold. "Me?" He nodded miserably. "They asked about you. At first I thought it was harmless, just small talk in the group chat. But then they wanted details. When you were home, when you weren't, your schedule. I swear, I thought they just wanted to understand how partners live with people like me. But now I don't know." I staggered back, my phone buzzing again in my hand. Another message appeared, chilling me to the bone. "You should have stayed out of this. Now it's too late." I looked up at him, terror clawing at my chest. "What did you drag us into?" Before he could answer, a sharp knock echoed at the door. Not just one, 3 heavy, deliberate bangs that rattled the frame. We froze. The phone buzzed again, as if on cue. "Open the door." The knock stopped. Silence swallowed the room. I dared to breathe, thinking maybe, just maybe, they had gone. But then my phone buzzed one last time.